Today, we're diving into a really powerful book with a vital message. It's called Rise to Peace by Ahmad Shah Mohibi, and it's all about the way of the word over the way of the gun. Get ready, because this book challenges pretty much everything we think we know about how violence actually takes root in our world.
I mean, it's the big question, right? It's a question that echoes through our headlines, through our history. Usually we just react to violence after it happens. But what if the answer isn't some big, unsolvable mystery we've been led to believe it is?
And this quote right here, from the author himself, is the absolute core of our explainer today. Mohibi argues, and he argues this from his own life experience, that we have to stop treating violence like it's some random storm. It's not magic. It's a machine.
And think about that for a second. If it's a machine, that means it has parts. It has mechanics. And that means we can understand it. And way more importantly, it means we can build something better. So this is the first huge idea. Violence follows a predictable and therefore preventable process.
The book calls this process the pattern of radicalization. And this isn't about just one country or one flag or one specific ideology. Nope, it's a universal system that preys on the same fundamental human vulnerabilities, no matter where you are in the world.
So what are the gears of this machine? Well, Mohibi identifies 5 key vulnerabilities. There's isolation, which makes people feel totally alone. Humiliation, which just strips away their dignity. Grievance, which gives all that anger a target. Hopelessness, which slams the door on the future. And finally, something deep inside all of us, the hunger to matter. See, extremist groups don't create these feelings. They find them and they exploit them.
So you have to be asking, how did the author come to see this pattern so clearly? Well, that brings us to the real heart of the story, and the organization he founded, Rise to Peace. Because this isn't some academic theory cooked up in a library, it's a mission forged in the middle of conflict.
This quote really frames the whole problem as a race. It's a race between a message of hate and a message of hope. It's all about reaching a vulnerable young person before their sense of grievance gets a script and their feeling of isolation gets a uniform. It all comes down to who gets there first.
But here's the crucial counterpoint, and this is so important. The pattern of violence is not inevitable. It can be intercepted. If the wrong message has a predictable path, guess what? So does the right one. Things like education, mentorship, community, these aren't just nice, fluffy ideas. They are tactical interventions. And the critical point here is that the solution isn't always some massive, multi-million-dollar program. The book really emphasizes the power of what seem like small interventions: an English class, getting access to a computer, a mentor who actually pays attention. These tiny things can be the pivot point between a life that grows and a life that just completely collapses.
Okay, so all of this builds into the book's central thesis. If extremism is making an offer to vulnerable people, you can't beat it by offering nothing in return. It just won't work. You have to create a better, more compelling offer. And this is what the book calls the way of the word.
And the strategy here is a direct point-by-point response. So where the way of the gun offers a destructive identity that's fueled by isolation, the way of the word comes back with a constructive mission built on community. It literally replaces propaganda with dialogue and silence with truth.
So how does this counteroffer actually work in the real world? Well, it breaks down into these 4 key actions. First, you provide real, tangible opportunity. Second, you foster a genuine sense of belonging that isn't toxic. Third, you offer mentorship. And finally, you uphold the truth, especially when it's really, really hard. Each one of these systematically dismantles those mechanics of violence we saw earlier.
And this is where all these ideas become reality. Rise to Peace wasn't built as just some vague concept. It was built to be a workbench, a practical, working system for building peace from the ground up.
The credibility of this whole thing, the reason it's so powerful, comes from its origin. It wasn't designed in some comfortable office with trendy language. It was built from hard lessons, in places where, as the author says, theory gets people killed and details decide whether a mission succeeds. That's real.
And of course, that work is never done alone. This quote actually comes from Michael R. Sherwin, who's a former U.S. federal prosecutor who worked right alongside Mohibi in Afghanistan. And he just highlights this collaborative spirit that's absolutely essential to making any of this work on a global scale. It's all about building teams to build peace.
This brings us to the final and, maybe the most important section of the book. It asks us to fundamentally redefine what we even consider the tools of security.
This right here, this is the book's ultimate argument. For way too long, things like education and community have been seen as soft initiatives, separate from the hard work of security. The book argues this is a dangerous, dangerous mistake. These are not soft ideas. They are security. They are the most effective, proactive defense we have.
So, who needs to hear this message? The answer is everyone. It's a message for students so they can see a path forward. For parents so they can see the early warning signs. For policymakers to help them remember the actual human beings behind the reports. And for anyone who has been a victim of violence, it's a message that you are not alone and that prevention really is possible.
You know, at the very foundation of this work is just a deep and abiding respect for our shared humanity. And it's captured so well in this quote. This isn't about making everyone the same. It's about building a world that's strong enough to actually embrace our differences.
So when you put it all together, this book dismantles the myth of violence as some unstoppable mystery and rebuilds it as a pattern we can understand and a pattern we can intercept. And that leaves us with this one final crucial question to think about. If education, mentorship, and community are the true foundations of security, what's our role?